What we do know is, of course, that the brother of former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has been fined £10,000 under new coronavirus laws for his role in the anti-lockdown protest. Piers Corbyn said he plans to take legal action after being one of the first people to receive the hefty fine for allegedly organising the gathering.
With the Stop New Normal and Save Our Rights campaign, we're fighting for the scientific truth to build a mass movement against the fake science behind the lockdowns and the new normal.
A lot of support. Hundreds of protesters, thousands gathered, some of whom displayed anti-mask and anti-vaccination placards in Trafalgar Square on Saturday afternoon. Critics have hit back. No one should be fined or arrested for organising a peaceful protest, but should protest organisers receive a £10,000 fine? Let's speak with anti-lockdown activist Piers Corbyn, who joins us. You're not in a prison cell, Piers, by any chance, are you?
No, I'm in my office basement at weatheraction.com.
They've let you out.
They did. They let me out after 10 hours and some pretty rough police food. And the police I asked them, did they eat this? And they said, no, we go to the restaurants around the corner.
There you go. They're not stupid, are they? So 10,000, I mean, this is a lot of money, but you knew that this fine was possible, Piers.
Possible, yes, but we organised everything very well with the police on the ground. We'd had very good liaison preparations, making sure things were all right, and they agreed to make sure our march was able to move, or the rally, march down Whitehall to Downing Street. Okay. And at the last minute, a different group of police turned up and arrested me. And I asked them, what is going on? And they said, I got the message from a number of policemen that this order came from on high. In other words, there was external political intervention demanding that I be arrested. And that is what happened. So one has to point to possibly Sadiq Khan for doing this.
So you think Sadiq Khan had you arrested?
Well, I should think it's quite likely. I don't know. I would think it's up to
I'm sure he would refute
to
that.
Find out. Yeah. Sadiq Khan or the government, or an argument between them leading to this.
Well, we'll try and get some information on that. Are you going to pay the £10,000 there, Piers?
No, of course not. What we're doing is we're going to challenge it. I mean, my lawyer's given them a very good statement, which will be available online if it isn't already, challenging the basis of what they're doing and meeting all their objections. Because we did tick all the boxes with the police in advance, you see. So this is. But
I thought the law was no more than 30 people.
Yeah, well, no more than 30 people, except, and this is an exception. And the exceptions are numbers of exceptions. One of them is a political rally, and Boris had said that was okay months ago, actually. Providing you, but if you have a political rally or anything, you're also meant to do a risk assessment of some sort, which we did. So that was covered. So the intervention to arrest me was political, and we think that should be investigated and find out which politician it was which caused this to happen, because it is completely undemocratic. You see, Black Lives Matter are doing the same sort of thing at the same time, and they're not touched at all.
They were having a protest round the corner on the same day, weren't they?
That's right, and nothing happened. So it's a bit like one suspects that possibly Sadiq Khan, who believes in lockdowns and all this stuff, and also believes in Black Lives Matter, so or them demonstrating or something. So, it's unfair. And I think we want to tackle that issue. But you see, that is also symptomatic of what is going on, because they want to have a massive crackdown on rights, and that means the authorities can decide who is right and who is wrong.
Well, let's get into the meat then of what this was all about, because I get it, Piers. Okay, you and I have talked many times, and we are in different places on this, but I understand. At the moment it's not a good look. I hate the new normal. I don't like the mask. I think about lockdown. I shook somebody's hand on Friday in a pub, and they looked at me as if I was giving them the plague. There's all of this stuff is uncomfortable. But there is a thing called coronavirus going around. It is killing people, and lots of people are still getting it. And at the moment, the direction of travel is north, not southerly. So we have an issue here. But your contention seems to be that the whole thing is cobblers, and then you tie it in with sort of anti-vaccine, big corporation, Bill Gates and 5G.
Well, all sorts of stuff does get mixed up. But what we say is that whether there's a virus or not, the measures they are instituting are not justifiable in any terms. And these lockdowns and the associated things of masking and vaxing and traxing have to end. And the actual facts are that in the case of masking, wearing masks makes you more ill because it holds in your toxins.
There's no evidence for that. Come on, you know there's no evidence for that.
No, there is. And
you found a rogue doctor that will corroborate that. But broadly speaking, the medical world are in one on this one, Piers.
No.
Well, I talk to them every day.
No, Vernon Coleman will...
I'm sure Vernon Coleman would. I've no doubt on that.
Yeah. He's also pointed out that there's dangers of people getting Legionnaire's disease from having masks.
Really? Is there any evidence of anybody getting Legionnaire's disease?
This I don't know. You'll have to ask Mr.
Yeah, it's quite important, isn't it, if you're going to mention that, to kind of know the answer.
Look, would a fence, a wire fence in the street, would that stop a fly? And the answer is no. And you see, the masks are expected to do the same thing. A thing the size of the virus, whether it's a virus or not, whatever it is, will not be stopped by one of those masks.
Well, no one said it will completely stop it, but it's part of the jigsaw, isn't it? It's part of the jigsaw, Piers. It's part of social distancing, masks, not going out as much as you did, not having daft crowds of people protesting about 5G, doing all of those things. Put it all together, and then you begin to get a reasoned response. That's the thinking.
Well, no, because we have 99.5% of the population now have completely virus-free. So there's no, and I've been going around the country hugging people, shaking hands and so on without wearing a mask for the last 3 months, and I certainly haven't got it. And
but your contention, your wider contention is that the whole thing is made up for nefarious reasons.
Well, let's see who benefits from this. You see, the mask, vaccine, traxing, and so forth, generating huge share increases now for big pharmaceutical companies and the telecom industries, and all of those are operations.
All of this, so that Smith, Klein, Beecham, and EE can have better dividends.
They are making massive money, and you see.
But they've shut down the world to appease two industries.
That's right. That is.
You believe that? You believe Boris Johnson, Angela Merkel, Mr. Macron, every other leader, Jacinda Ardern, everyone around the world has done this purely to help out some people in the pharmaceutical industry.
They are the beneficiaries, yes, they are, and we are not the beneficiaries. We've got massive lockdowns of jobs, which is resulting in unemployment and
why would any leader want to? But why would Boris Johnson sit there in the cabinet and go, "Look, boys, this is I've had this across the table. There's a fellow called Gates. I had a chat to him in the States, and he's got some mates in the pharma industry and the tech industry. And, let's help them out here, shall we? And pretend there's a virus and have a lockdown. Come on."
Well, yes. I mean, there may or may not have been any viruses around. Who knows? But there are viruses around sometimes which do make people ill. So. Any illnesses caused, they label them as COVID when, of course, people are dying from other things, and exaggerate everything happening and create the view of an existence of a virus, whether it exists or not. And that is used to generate fear among people.
But to what end? What's gained out of this? What is Boris Johnson is likely to lose the next election, according to today's polling, based on this. So why would he want to go along?
Or if Labour support him, they could lose as well. So they could both lose. I mean, who knows? But yes, in whose interest does Boris Johnson act? Do they interest for globalisation, or do they act for a more local view of prosperity? And the answer is to that obviously Boris Johnson is going on with the globalisers who want to reduce weaken the middle classes and local jobs and put more power into the mega corporations and make more money for them. And that is what is happening now. The rich in the world are getting richer.
But you've got no evidence for that, have you?
I have.
But if you think about the facts against it, Piers, it doesn't make any sense.
No. You're interrupting me. The facts are that the mega corporations' share values have gone up and up. Their profits are going up and up.
I'm sure.
Average wages are going down and down, and jobs are going to the wall. But this is helping to save Wall Street, and this is in whose interest that Boris Johnson is acting.
So Boris Johnson wants to save half a dozen bankers and some pharmaceutical head honchos and he will close down his entire country in order to help out half a dozen people he doesn't even know.
It's happening all over the Western world. This is happening at the same time as whereas China is not locked down to anything like the extent of the West, and they are doing very well out of the manufacturing of materials which are then put around the world on behalf of mega corporations. So you can see how it is working before our eyes. So what we have to do now is demand that MPs stop the renewal of the COVID legislation in September, or we will campaign to remove them from office one by one.
You are aware that only a very tiny amount of people believe your conspiracy theory?
It's not a conspiracy theory. I'm telling you the facts.
Where are all the politicians in Westminster talking this language? Where's your own brother on this, Piers? You must have talked to him about it.
Well, indeed. I mean, he may be.
Is he with you on this? Is Jeremy with you on this journey?
Look, the trade unions have put themselves in a ridiculous corner. They've been bribed to accept 80% wages to do nothing. They're like Esau in the Bible. He sold his birthright for a mess of pottage, and that's what the trade unions have done now. They believe jobs are going to come back, but jobs will not come back. Already, Amazon wages have been forced onto people. Industries are closing. The United Nations even said that half the jobs in the world, I presume in the Western world, will go. Now, that's a huge number. Even if it's 20%, it's a huge number. That means poverty being imposed upon us, and the rich getting richer, the mega-rich getting richer, and the poor getting poorer. That is what is before us, and that is what Wall Street wants, and that is what Boris Johnson is working for.
And every other leader is signed up to this agenda?
Well, they may be.
One would assume they'd have to be, because you'd have to have Merkel and Macron and all the other leaders around Europe and the Western world, wouldn't you, to make it work?
Some of the leaders in Africa, like the leader the state that's on the one of those.
One of the African countries, yeah.
Yeah, but I need to have the name of it. But anyway, some of those have opposed. Bill Gates in his vax operations, and then got themselves into large trouble. One of the leaders died recently, for example. Now, we don't quite know what's going on, but there has been some opposition around the world.
So they're killing dissenters.
There are dissenters, and
you've mixed it all up with 5G as well, haven't you? Because apparently, despite there being no evidence for any of this, including the 5G connection, your guys roll that one
evidence. No. If you want to evidence, there is very clear evidence that Wi-Fi, and especially high frequencies like 5G and upper levels of 4G and so on, do cause damage to your immune system. And there's hundreds of scientific papers on this.
Yes,
so
but no evidence for it.
There's hundreds of scientific papers of measurements which show this. And if you go on our website, stopnewnormal.net, you can be led to these, or my Twitter feed, Piers_Corbyn. So 5G is causing this type of immune damage. And the other thing about the 5G, of course, it is wanted for more and more control of people, i.e. surveillance and control and monitoring everything you do, which is a limitation on freedoms as well. And people, you should understand that. And again, we're calling up on MPs to stop expansion of 5G, and in fact take down all 5G towers for both these reasons.
Well, they're going up, aren't they? Going up by the dozen, Piers. I think you might have lost that battle.
They should be stopped. Well, we'll have to reverse it.
You'll be able to download Plandemic a lot faster. That's the plus, isn't it?
Say it again?
You'll be able to download films a lot faster. That's the plus.
Well, I've been living all my life to download a full-length film in 5 minutes. But you see, I can't watch it in 5 minutes. No, this is a nonsense. This is not there to help that sort of thing. It's there to control. So when you walk in a shop, if there's a 5G TV there, by the time you reach the counter, they'll know everything about you and what you owe and decide to entertain you or not. I mean, this is massive surveillance, and everything you do everywhere, especially if you buy things only by card, which is what they want, is again total control. We want to be able to use money in the normal way and not have total control. So we've got to get rid of 5G for that reason and because it causes illness. And anyone who doesn't believe it, come onto my Twitter feed and we can point you to links which prove scientifically, where there's been measurements done, that 5G and 4G do damage your immune systems. Bear in mind that the energy, the intensity of these rays that come to us from this are a million times what the natural levels are, which can only come from thunderstorms. And those are occasional things, as you know, and happen a long way away for most people. So that is something different happening in the world.
I hope we've given you a fair hearing, and it's despite our differences, it's always nice to talk. Good